Welcome to today's lecture on SMTP protocol. SMTP is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So we are going to discuss Simple Mail Transfer Protocol configuration and management. So this is a application layer applications in the communication network. So here we are going to see as an overview of SMTP and extended ESMTP, DNS, MS records, internet connectivity, SMTP, virtual servers and connectors, relaying and smart host, SMTP security, global settings, domain nodes, per user settings. How SMTP implements a connection. So you have a host under the server. So the host initiates the TCP, transmission control protocol connection, and the response is 220, and it sends the hello command, and it identifies the sender for the mail using mail from, identifying the recipient using RCPT to indicate sender to indicates send ready to send using data, sends message, indicates end of the session using build. How ESMTP implements a connection. Host sends hello instead of hello. If the server supports ESMTP, it returns a response to T. If the server does not support ESMTP, it returns a response 500. ESMTP session very similar to SMTP session. SMTP system folders. So you have pickup, queue, and bad mail. Configuration MS records, managing your own DNS domain name system. So you have single namespace and multiple namespace. Internet service provider manages your DNS, non-persistent connection and permanent connection. Configuration, configuring internet connectivity, configuring SMTP virtual servers, creating and configuring an SMTP connector, configuring an SMTP policy for a domain, configuring per user settings, demonstration, creating and configuring an additional SMTP virtual server. So this remains demonstrating creating an SMTP connector, demonstration configuration and SMTP connector, limiting the scope, configuring the credentials, configuring to receive only email, configuring to send email, configuring internet message formats, configuring message delivery parameters. SMTP relays. SMTP server configured to use a smart host. SMTP virtual server forwards unresolved messages to a smart host. SMTP virtual server configured as a relay host. SMTP relays continuation. SMTP virtual server configured to limit the servers that can relay email messages. SMTP connector configured to use a smart host. Configurations domains to which you want to relay message. SMTP Simple Mail Transfer Protocol virtual server configured to use a smart host. Virtual servers forward all outbound mail to a smart host. Virtual server does not resolve the SMTP domain name. Entry and exit point for all internet messages. Entry and exit point for all messages to a foreign messaging system. SMTP virtual server configured to use a smart host. Continuation. Helps manage internet message traffic, provides dial-up solutions. Clients do not need permanent connections to the exchange server. SMTP virtual server forwards unresolved messages to a smart host. Forward all unresolved SMTP messages from exchange to a smart host. Other SMTP message systems in addition to Exchange. Smart host cannot resolve recipient's name message returned to NDR, non-delivery report. SMTP virtual server configured as a relay host. Configure an SMTP virtual server as an inbound relay host. Gives Exchange Server 2003 smart host capabilities. Can configure other SMTP servers to use the virtual server as a smart host. Virtual server resolves the recipient SMTP domain name through DNS and delivers the message. Limit the servers that can relay email messages. Specify who or what can an email, that is electronic mail message, through your organization, through the computers, groups of computers and domains. Prevent unwanted SMTP, small simple mail transfer protocol host from using your SMTP host as a relay agent. Stop third parties from relaying bulk unassociated commercial email. SMTP connector configured to use a smart host. By default, SMTP connector uses DNS, the domain name system, can configure connector to forward all outbound mail to a smart host. Typically, SMTP configuration done on connector rather than the virtual server. Configuring domains to which you want to relay message can limit domains to which you relay message. Unuseful when organization has multiple SMTP messaging systems and domain names. SMTP simple mail transfer protocol host can accept messages from any domain but then forward them only to the specific domains. Configuring connections on an SMTP virtual server incoming, so it limits the number of connections to and connection timeout, that is in minutes. Outgoing, it limits connections to and timeout in minutes and limit connections per domain to and TCP port. SMTP security. So security plays a main role. So here we are going to discuss about the authentication, encryption, and reverse DNS lookup. So this is authentication, this encryption, and reverse DNS loop, IP snooping. Attack Attacker impersonates a trusted host, uses its IP address. Reverse DNS lookup resolves IP address to a host name or FQDN. Confirm that the sender's IP address is from the correct network. Result return into the messages SMTP header. This is restricting internet email relaying. Permit mail for the other organization to be forwarded. Disabled by the default. Required for interfacing with other SMTP mail systems. Required to allow IMA P4 and POP3, Post Office Protocol 3, clients to send mail. Open relaying. Organization configured to allow relaying by default. Open relaying allows propagation of the junk mail. Configuration relaying can restrict using DACLS, that is discriminating access control list, and safer to create additional SMTP virtual user. Retrieving email from an ISP, Internet Service Provider is ISP, typically over a non-persistent connection. Configure the on-demand dial-up connection in routing and remote access service. Configuration ISP exchange server as a smart host. Pull email by using the turn command. Advanced tab of SMTP connector properties dialog box. That is request turn when sending messages. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the session. So if you hope you enjoyed the session, please subscribe and like and subscribe. Thank you.